Hello lovelies, my name is Eric and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video might be a little late to the party, but I sort of want to talk about some of the, drama that's been going on YouTube, and just generally talk about how I approach dealing with, my own nonsense so that I can be as little of an asshole as possible. We're of course going to have this conversation through a magical perspective, because I'm not a mental health professional, but I want to introduce a little known breed of magical record that I've found immensely worthwhile in my personal practice, called, or what I call, the Bardonian Black Mirror, but it's by Franz Barden and he calls it the Black Mirror, so it's Bardonian Black Mirror. I'd like to think most of my audience would agree that cancel culture isn't a good thing, and usually only ends up hurting already vulnerable people. You're not going to be able to cancel someone like Jeffree Star or J.K. Rowling or Shane Dawson. We've already voted with our wallets there and the damage is already done. Instead, I think it's better if we turn inward and deal with the plank in our own eye before we judge the speck in our brothers, if you'll muse me getting all biblical. So in 2015, I really dedicated myself to studying magic, to, investigating this, in a proper way, and I started to read books that were actually written before the new millennium, and also, a lot of works by academics. And during my adventures, I read a book called Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden. And in this book, he offers a really useful tool for self-exploration and shadow work called the Black and White Mirrors of the Soul. In this video, I'm going to mainly talk about the Black Mirror, but you should definitely check out his book because, not only is it a great read, but it's also, the source of a lot of the techniques that are circulated in contemporary paganism. And quite often without any sort of credit, so it's always good to know where these sorts of things are coming from. So yes, this tool is what I wanted to talk about, this Black Mirror, and how I use it to, and continue to use it to examine myself and my neuroses and my societal programming, all of those sorts of things. So it was by using this tool that I was able to begin to break down, the misogyny and racism and homophobia, and, all the other prejudices that I was programmed with by society. But also to deal with, my own mental health issues like depression and anxiety. Because this sort of practice really, boils down to that old, Delphic maxim of, know thee see it and know thyself. And that's always, the place you need to start. So in his book, Barden instructs the beginner to start with 2 notebooks called the Black and White Mirrors of the Soul. In the first book, the Black Mirror, and that's the one that I sort of want to talk about because I think that's most useful to our conversation. But in it, the magician is instructed to explore all of their faults and all of their flaws, to scrutinize their errors and mistakes under, a microscopic lens. So to help me with this and get me started, I went online and searched for a list of adjectives and noted down the examples I could think of scenarios for. So racist, sexist, narcissistic, whatever it was that I saw and thought, yeah, I've done that. And then I began to break down those accounts of those experiences. Because ultimately humans are multifaceted creatures, right? And it's important to be able to look at our actions with the understanding that, saying something homophobic, for example, does not inherently make you a homophobe. A person's most consistent actions is their true self. So, you're allowed to, shed your skin at any time and recreate yourself. A single action does not define you. That's why it's invaluable for us to do this kind of reflection, with the sum of all our actions, and you can start to make better choices immediately once you've identified, toxic behavior in yourself, and you can educate yourself. So, once you've got all your list of, things you want to work on, you go through the list and assign each quality with an element. So, depression, for example, is something that we tend to associate with water. So, it's cold and deep, it looks still from the outside, but there's, tumultuous undercurrents below the surface. These metaphors are all watery, so we associate that with depression. For the white mirror, you basically do the same process again, but with all of your like positive qualities. And then once you've got all of your good and all of your bad qualities, and they're listed into their elements, you will begin to see like which elements call for balancing in your life. And like how you approach balancing them, I don't know. That's like dependent on your tradition, but Barden offers, you know, techniques for that. But I think it's important for those of us who work with elemental forces to understand that like while fire can be used to cook and make glass and cast metal, that it also has that like capacity for great devastation. All of the elements, when left unchecked, can become like destructive in our lives. But this magical record, like all of your grimoires and journals and notebooks, is something that you should be like constantly dipping into and working in. Like doing this practice once does not absolve you of making mistakes and doing harmful things or saying harmful things in the future. Like I understand that I am by no means perfect, and that I will continue to say and do things that hurt people. I just think it's important that we understand, like, if somebody hurts you, like, even if it's me, you always have the right to remove yourself from that space, and you don't have to engage with content that, like, hurts you. Like, so much of what we see in the world is competition and, like, fighting amongst ourselves and people trying to scramble to the top of some, like, social ladder. But my intention is always to, like, aid and elevate others, not to bash them down. And I think that greater things definitely come from, like, collaboration than from competition. But yeah, look into Franz Barden and his text. It's a really great book. But I hope you've enjoyed this look into this cool magical record, and hope you try it out for yourself and can gain some value from it. Not everything is for everyone, and that's okay. If it doesn't work for you, that's, you know, totally cool too. But my lovelies, I hope you found this video informative, or at the very least entertaining. Like and subscribe to become a wizard today, and I will speak to you in the next video. Bye!